Innovation isn't just about the latest AI tools or shiny tech breakthroughs. The real drivers of lasting, meaningful change are human curiosity and courage. Over the past year, Deb Reuben, founder and CEO of Tomorrow Zone, sat down with six thought leaders to explore the human side of innovation, how these human traits are shaping the future of technology adoption and change leadership. Throughout these conversations, three key themes emerged: curiosity, courage, and humanity. This podcast brings together key takeaways from these thought leaders and highlights the lessons we can carry into 2025 to lead with clarity, confidence, and heart. Before we begin, I want to tell you about Monitor Suite, the data, research, insights, and information to power better business decisions. There is no content resource for equipment financiers of all levels that can make this kind of weekly impact on your business and in your career. For more information, visit www.suitebymonitor.com. I also want to thank today's podcast sponsor, Stripes Leadership Program. Stripes is the premier leadership development program tailored for the equipment finance industry. Stripes' 6-month program launches with a 3-day intensive transformational program and provides immersive training delivered by recognized industry leaders and best-in-class leadership experts. Transformation on both personal and professional levels, delivering immediate, measurable results through hands-on business workshop, group coaching sessions, capstone projects, collaborative cohort groups, one-on-one program coaching, and much more. Learn more by visiting www.stripesleadership.com.
Welcome, listeners, to a special edition of the Tomorrow Zone podcast for Monitor. I'm Deb Reuben, CEO and founder of Tomorrow Zone. And throughout the past 3 years, I've been doing these special episodes for Monitor, exploring the human side of innovation. I've been interviewing thought leaders from inside and outside of the equipment finance industry. I believe that active, continuous learning is essential to remaining relevant in this business world of ours that's changing all the time. I remember my dad telling me that I started asking questions when I was 3 years old. And the thing is, I've never stopped. Curiosity drives me. And so I've had the pleasure of exploring my curiosity about the human side of innovation publicly through this podcast medium. Change is all around us and the pace isn't slowing down. And as I talk to business leaders across the industry, professionals from this industry and outside of our industry, a lot of people are afraid of being left behind with so much technology change on the horizon and so much technology change surrounding us even right now. But the thing that I'm realizing is that leadership today isn't just about keeping up. It's really about anticipating and adapting and inspiring positive change so that we can take action to shape a brighter future. There is a question that has been driving me for a while now. And if you have listened to past episodes, you've probably heard me ask this of all sorts of people. What can leaders do today to create a better tomorrow? And so I've been asking this a lot. With all the hype and hope and even fear surrounding the rapid pace of AI progress today, we can sometimes begin to wonder, what is the place of humans in the future of work, especially if AI becomes ubiquitous in our work world? And so I've been reflecting on this question, and I'm excited to share what I'm learning and what I have learned from the brilliant minds that I had the pleasure of interviewing through this series about how curiosity, overcoming fear, and embracing our humanity really are keys for us to shape a more awesome future for ourselves and for our companies and for the industry. So let's start with curiosity. One of the most powerful tools that leaders can use today is curiosity. And it's not just about asking questions, but it's really about having the courage to explore new ideas and even to challenge long-held assumptions, and to be willing to learn and grow, to see every step forward as an opportunity for growth. So back in podcast episode 113, I interviewed Ray Forzato, of auxiliary capital partners. And we had a fabulous conversation about enhancing operational capabilities with AI. And during our conversation, Rafe was talking about the mindset that leaders can adopt when thinking about applying AI. And it was pretty simple, but also at the same time, it was profound. What would happen if you just got 1% better continually? Sometimes we think innovation has to be revolutionary, but as you'll hear Rafe explain, even the smallest improvements can have massive impacts on your team's excitement and purpose and even your bottom line. So let's listen in.
Recognize that AI is a tool and will help people make better decisions across the board. It's not a replacement technology. It's an and. It's one of the vertices of that triangle of a successful organization. And that people should be celebrated for embracing that in what they do. And in past lives, we used AI type tools to do cash application, to do credit decisioning, to do chatbots. There's so many applications of these things. And everyone, I think they go for the super Hollywood version. Like they're thinking, oh, I got to do this. No, get it down in that operation. Because just remember, what's the impact to your organization if you get 1% better this year? 1%. What's the impact on profit? What's the impact on customer experience? What's the impact on employee retention and a sense of well-being? What's the impact on people's excitement and their sense of purpose just by being 1% better? There's 1,000 different ways you can apply these things. The question will be knowing that there'll be a couple stubbed toes and bruised shins along the way, the same way a toddler does when they learn to stand. They take their first steps and then learn to run.
That was such a cool thought. And Rafe's message resonates deeply. It can be really easy to feel overwhelmed by the need to innovate. But what if the first step is simply allowing yourself and your team to learn, to ask questions, to experiment, and yes, even fail along the way? You see, as we learn from Rafe, innovation is built one step at a time. It's not magical giant leaps. That brings me to a fun conversation that I had with Chris Cummins. He's a TEDx speaker, author, keynote speaker, and TV host who shares a really great approach for taking those first steps toward the things that make us nervous. It's about turning curiosity into action, even if the path isn't perfect at first.
What's one thing leaders can do today to shape a better tomorrow? One of them is try new things, right? Just go explore a thing. Write down 2 or 3 things that you're really nervous about that you'd like to do one day, but you've been putting them off. And circle one of them to just take a baby step toward. And who knows, what'll happen is once you finish that baby step, you're like, it wasn't that hard. I wonder if I could take another step toward it. And you take another step, maybe you stumble a bit. You take another step, and then someone says, hey, looks like you're trying to go there. Do you want a hand? Wait, you've been there before? Yeah, success leaves clues. Come here, follow me.
I just love how Chris talks about taking baby steps one at a time. It's a reminder that curiosity isn't just a mindset, it's a behavior and it's active learning. It's about moving forward even when we're not sure what's around the corner. And if you can lead with curiosity, you can create an environment where your team feels empowered to explore too. So to wrap up this exploration of the curiosity theme, I'm just going to share a piece of a wide-ranging conversation that I had with Jen Kronberger on overcoming the overwhelm of AI adoption, taking a human-centric approach to AI adoption. One of the things that happened in this episode is Jen flipped a script on me during our interview. Usually I ask my guests to answer the question, the driving question, what is one thing that leaders can do? But she turned it on me. So listen in to find out how, when it comes to AI adoption, curiosity really can help you turn chaos into clarity.
I know that you always ask at the end of your podcast, what's one thing leaders can do today to shape a more awesome future? So I'm going to ask you that. I'm going to flip this around on you and see how you would respond to that. I'm sure people would be really interested because I know I am.
Awesome. Thanks so much for asking. It's been such a fun question, and I've learned so much from everybody who has responded to it over the years. It's really easy to get caught up and actually burned out by the overwhelm of tactics, tools, and toys and the flood of information that's coming at us from every direction so fast. The one thing that leaders can do today to shape a more awesome future for themselves and for their teams is to take action to get over this overwhelm by stopping and stepping back and cranking up their curiosity to an 11 on a scale of 1 to 10. And
I love that.
Getting educated about what AI can do, and more specifically, what it can do for you in your business context, with your company's nuances, your operational processes, and understand that AI isn't some mysterious ambient force in the ether. It's a set of power tools we can use right now, and getting educated on what these tools can do, how they work, and how they can be practically applied to bring true business value is what's really going to help you to shape a better future. So when we're faced with a new technology and we're faced with the unknown, or maybe we're feeling intimidated by the technology, when we leverage curiosity, it can help us cut through the noise, and it can help us to focus on what really matters. Learning how we can apply new tools like AI in ways that make sense for our unique business context is what is going to make the difference. Curiosity isn't about knowing all the answers, but it's about being willing to explore and to learn and to try new things. And when you crank up your curiosity to learn new technologies or to try to understand how you can apply them in your business, you're not just navigating future possibilities, but you're shaping your own future by the actions that you take and the decisions that you make today. And taking action leads us to our next theme that came out of these conversations over the past year, and that is courage. Overcoming fear and stepping into uncertainty with confidence. So let's talk about fear. Every leader faces fear, fear of failure, fear of change, fear of the unknown. But here's the thing. Fear can often be a precursor to growth. And I've heard it said that courage isn't the absence of fear, but it's taking action despite the fear. And the leaders who are shaping the future are the ones who are stepping into uncertainty and learning to embrace that fear. It's part of the process. And so I want to go back to Chris Cummins, because in my conversation with him, he shared a deeply personal insight on this. You see, even as a seasoned and sought after public speaker, I was surprised to hear that Chris still gets nervous before stepping up on a stage. But listen in, because as he explains to executives that he coaches through high stakes public speaking situations, waiting for fear to disappear is a trap. Instead, he leans into it. So listen into this clip to hear how fear is a part of the process, not a barrier to success.
I'll show them a video of one of my keynotes and I'll pause and I'll say, he looks calm, doesn't he? On the surface, he looks calm and ready, but he's got vomit on his sweater already, probably mom's spaghetti. But like I say to them, you have no idea how panicked I am in that moment. But you've been doing this full time, like your whole business. You have a team of people to support you. You have an incorporated business. And you're telling me you still get nervous going on the stage? And I'm like, yes, I do. So if you're waiting for those nerves to disappear, I got news for you, my friend. They don't. They don't disappear. I don't just waltz onto a stage and be like, I own this. I might look that way. I might appear confident. But one of the things that I do, to answer your question, is I help people to see that if you're waiting for that fear to go away, stop waiting.
I just love that so much. What a powerful message. Fear doesn't go away, but we can choose how we respond to it. Leaders need to embrace the discomfort and understand that fear is often a sign that you're on the brink of something big. So next, as we're exploring this topic of courage and overcoming fear, let's hear from Rohan Marfatia. He is the CEO at B-Round. He's very deep into the AI space. And he shared a really cool personal story about taking a major leap of faith early in his career when he moved from India to London, and explained how his father's advice on taking risk really helped him to step out of his comfort zone and embrace the unknown.
The start of my career, my dad advised me on the benefits of risk taking. Right, I was born and raised in India, did my undergrad from there. And at one point, I had the opportunity to relocate from India to London. And I was having the heebie-jeebies, and I was like, hey, should I? It's an international move. And my dad was like, hey, you're traveling back from Pune to Ahmedabad, your hometown, once in a while. It takes you like 8 hours, right? And if you're getting a flight from London to Ahmedabad, in an equivalent amount of time, you can be back, right? So why are you thinking, right? The world is your oyster. Just go ahead, take the risk, travel. So that was an important moment in my life wherein my dad told me that you have to take risks. You have to get out of your comfort zone in order to achieve something.
And if you want to hear more of Rohan's story, listen to podcast 117, AI Without the Overwhelm, where we explored what it takes to successfully adopt AI practically for your business. Safety is a bigger risk than failure. And Rohan's story reminds us that leadership often means stepping into new and sometimes uncomfortable spaces. And his father's advice that the world is your oyster is a powerful reminder that opportunities lie on the other side of fear. By taking that leap, by expanding your horizons, stretching your comfort zone, you can lead with greater confidence. Speaking of embracing fear, I had a really great conversation with Jen Kronberger on leading AI adoption with emotional intelligence. And this was a really fun conversation because we just got to geek out on this topic. I'm a technology enthusiast, but Jen is a performance psychology expert and founder of the Human Leadership Institute. So in our conversation, she shared a really fascinating take from her experience working with professional athletes. And she drew some interesting parallels between the fear of making mistakes in sports and the fear that we often face in business. And her insight, innovation doesn't happen without failure.
Innovation can't happen without mistakes. When we talk about mistakes, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with pro athletes who that was the barrier. I am afraid to make a mistake. I get paid millions of dollars to not make a mistake. And a great example of this, I've spent a lot of time in the baseball, softball field in pro sports, and working with a pro baseball player comes to mind. The amazing part of the sport of baseball is that you're going to fail more than you're going to succeed. When you think about a batting average, a great batting average these days is high 200s, low 300s out of 1,000. So it's a sport of failure. So is innovation a sport of failure until we recognize the things that we get right and we go with that.
Innovation is a sport of failure. It doesn't happen without mistakes along the way. Her message is so true, both in sports and in leadership and business. You're going to strike out sometimes, but those failures pave the way for your future successes. And as leaders, it's our job to create environments where our team feels safe to take those risks, to try new things, to learn forward, knowing that failure is just a part of the journey toward innovation and a better future. Moving on to our third theme from the 2024 exploration of the human side of innovation, we come to the theme of embracing our humanity and leading with empathy and connection. That theme came out loud and clear throughout the year as I spoke with leaders. We hear a lot of hype about AI, especially since ChatGPT was released on the world back in November of 2022. But personally, I've been experimenting with AI since 2016. And then I started building a team of humans in 2018. And to this day, I still get asked if my team members are humans or robots. And internally at Tomorrow Zone, we joke all the time about having to always confirm our humanity. Like when you have to check the box when you're logging into an online app, I am not a robot. And we have fun with that. But it's true. If you want to stay relevant and future ready, especially with all of the hype around AI these days, we need to embrace the foundation of our leadership, and that's our humanity. In a world of so much robotics, we need to be more human. So let's talk about embracing our humanity and leading with empathy and connection. Technology and innovation and strategy, these things are all important, but at the end of the day, leadership is about people. It's about connection and empathy and creating a culture where everyone feels seen and valued. And that's something that we explored in podcast 115, modernizing an analog leadership style to stay ahead in a digital world. And in this episode, I had an amazing conversation with Jen Swanson. She's a transformation advisor and strategic consultant focused on highly regulated industries. So I thought that her insights would be especially valuable to equipment finance folks. And in our conversation, she shared her perspective on psychological safety and how we as leaders can create environments where it's okay to make mistakes. And she used a really great metaphor about cake fails that really makes this point stick. When I think about digital transformation, a lot of these initiatives, we watch HGTV, we watch the Food Network. We think, oh, I can do that. Have you ever seen cake fails?
Oh my gosh, that's our favorite show at our house. I love the metaphor because I think the other side of this is that everybody believes that they're going to be Martha Stewart right out of the kitchen. First time. And what they don't realize is that even Martha Stewart had to make that beautiful rosette cake probably 50 or 60 times before she could make it perfectly on TV. And we all love the fancy phrase of psychological safety, and we all hope that we're making our teams psychologically safe. But this is exactly the kind of change in mindset that executive leaders and all the way down the organization have to make. And this is why a coach can help them. So creating an environment from the top of the organization to the bottom where people can, as they are making their first cake and maybe even their second cake, let it be a little messy. And again, the cake here being maybe their first quarter of planning in a more agile, roadmap oriented kind of way, maybe moving from a initiative based annual funding capital kind of allocation project to funding teams that are more sustained over time with a true ownership construct and maybe product based or capability based. It's probably not going to be perfect the first time. And having coaches there to say, yep, this feels super uncomfortable. This doesn't feel great, right? Coaches or consultants or a team that's been there before to say, it's okay. It's normal. It's normal for you to feel a little uncomfortable, but here are the markers where I've seen it before and where I know you're okay. You're safe. You're okay. And it's going to be better next quarter because you're going to know more. You're going to have learned more. You're going to have a little bit more under your belt. And the next quarter, the next cake is going to be a little bit neater. And the cake after that is going to be neater. And pretty soon you're on HGTV making the most beautiful cakes in the world, right? So having that help those experts with you, I think can really make a difference. Have we exhausted this metaphor enough?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm getting hungry. That was so fun. Yeah. Nothing will make me laugh out of control like an episode of Nailed It or viewing cake fail photos. But if you think about it, Jen's metaphor is spot on. Just like baking a cake for the first time, leading through change is often very messy at first. And If we give our teams the space to make mistakes and to grow and to learn, those messy first attempts eventually turn into something beautiful. In podcast episode 116, Future Readiness Powered by Leadership, I really enjoyed interviewing Bob Rinaldi, president of Rinaldi Advisory Services, and just a legend in the leasing world. Bob brings in another critical human element, and that is humility. And he talked about the power of admitting when you don't have all the answers and the importance of asking for help when you need it.
Humility comes with knowing that and accepting you don't know it all. And you're willing to ask for help, which for a lot of people, that vulnerability is something I would call it. They don't permit themselves to be vulnerable because maybe that's a show of weakness, or I don't know. If you want to be better, then you're going to ask for help, and you're going to realize and acknowledge that you don't have all the answers, and that somebody that's already been there, done it. Basically, not that they have all the answers, but they've certainly made a whole lot more mistakes that they learn from. And if they can prevent you from making some of the same mistakes, that's a smart move.
It can be easy to feel like we have to have all the answers. But the truth is, showing vulnerability and asking for help doesn't weaken your leadership, strengthens it. It opens the door to collaboration and it builds trust within your team. The biggest thing I learned from Bob is that humility opens doors that ego slams shut. For one last takeaway from the conversations this year, let's return to Jen Kronberger, who really wraps up this segment perfectly. She reminds us that despite all the technology and innovation advances in the world, we're still human. And leading with empathy is critical to fostering innovation and trust.
And that brings me to this idea of empathy and leaning into moments that we can focus on. That's why I think that's critical, is the emotional side of how we operate and how we show up doesn't go away just because we have this great technology and all these things that we're focused on, or that might be our job. It doesn't make us any less human, though. And leaning into learning how to be an empathetic leader is critical. I think another piece to that too is learning how to stay curious and how to teach your teams how to stay curious. That there's a difference in how we show up in moments that might not be positive. Someone's dealing with something, or there's, hey, this didn't go well, this project, or whatever it is. It's the process of moving from judgment to curiosity. That is everything. And I think if you do that really well as a leader, your team knows that and your team feels that. And they're now feeling like, I'm not being put under a microscope. I am part of the process to also find the solution.
That was just so insightful. In the innovation space, we talk about empathy a lot. Empathy is a cornerstone of leadership. And the thing is, it's often referred to as a soft skill, but empathy isn't soft. It's the hardest and most essential skill for leaders today. It's what allows us to connect, to inspire, and also to create that environment where innovation can truly thrive. As leaders, when we move from judgment to curiosity, we give our teams permission to do the same. And that's where creative breakthroughs come from. That's where the magic happens. So let's wrap this up and go right back to our driving question. What is it that leaders can do today to create a better tomorrow? Well, there's a lot of things that we can do today to create a better tomorrow. Number one, start with curiosity. Ask questions. Have the courage to try new things and never stop learning. And speaking of courage, the second one is overcoming fear by taking action and stepping into the unknown, by embracing failure and encouraging your teams to do the same. And third, embrace your humanity. Those soft skills are the hardest things to develop, but that's what's going to help you to be future ready. in a world surrounded by AI and automation. So leading with empathy and humility and a deep understanding that at its core, leadership is really about people. I hope that these insights have sparked something in you and inspired you just as they did for me. I believe that together we can create a more awesome future by staying curious, being brave, and leading with heart. I just want to thank you for listening in and joining me on this journey to explore the human side of innovation in 2024. And I wish you all the best for 2025. And until we meet again, stay curious, be bold, and choose to make awesome happen. Thank you.